Welcome to the channel. Desmos is a powerful tool, but most students don't know how to use it to get good scores. In this video, I'm going to show you best strategy if you're taking your SAT very soon. You only want to watch this video and learn strategy to maximize your score. Sometimes you need algebra to help you. Sometimes you need Desmos to combine with algebra. This is Desmos strategy for the SAT. Let's get to it. As you can see, this first question, this is a good question somebody sent to me. He has a lot of information. I'm going to teach you some good algebra and some good Desmos. Some will combine them together. This is expression you'll be given. They say the equation has no integer solution. And he has this factor. If A and C are positive integers, what is the least possible value of that? This question is loaded with a lot of information. If you know how to solve this, most quadratic equations become easy. First thing you need to know, you got to analyze it algebraically. Don't go to Desmos right away. Most students see a question and boom, they run to Desmos, trying to ask Desmos to give you things they don't know. Desmos is a machine. Input them and you get a better output. So what do we have? He said there is no integer solution. It does not mean the equation does not have solution. It means your answers of the value of the factors are not going to be what? Integers. They're going to be fraction. So that's the key. And now they've given you one of the factors, 3x plus 2. This tells you it's a non-integer now. Now, what do you think? You need another factor. So we're going to pick maybe mx plus n, something like that. You can pick px plus q, whatever. You can pick anything you want. It does not matter because you need two factors for the equation. And since you know that, we're going to go to Desmos and input the information. But before I tell you, 54 is key. Everything that we're going to get is going to be based on 54 because 54 is restricted. A and C are variable. It can be anything. When you see a SAT question, this is the first thing you tell your mind. Before you pick numbers, know which one is restricted and which one is not. 54 is restricted. Now let's go to Desmos and see how this will play out. So for Desmos, we're going to input the expression that will be given. F of s is equal to as squared plus 54x plus c. But we know that we have a factor, so we're going to pick g of x is equal to that factor, 3x plus what? 2. And then your new factor that you pick, whatever variable you want to pick, it matches the other factor, right? Remember, m can be n can be m. You can flip the orientation. It does not matter. Now, just regress the two functions. G of x going to f of x. And he give you this. Remember, Desmos is not a perfect system. It's going to give you value to satisfy the equation. There's so many variables. That's why sometimes you pick 1, 1, 1, 1, because it's telling you, I can pick anything I want. I just want to use this easiest, simplest one. Now, just pick some variable in order to be safe. You say, okay, let's do 1, 2, 3, 4 variable. It's enough, right? This is what he picked. You can do this next time, it will pick different numbers. Not every time you input Desmos in, you get the same numbers. Watch it carefully. It's not always the same time. Now, we want to find AC. And I told you 54 is restricting everything, right? 54 is dictating it. When we do I'll show you the algebra why this is very important. But for Desmos now, let's basically pretend we're doing full Desmos. A can be 81 or can be any number, so far as it meets the satisfaction of the equation, right? N is not 0, C is not 0. Desmos just pick something that will help. So let's say maybe A is 1, right? If I pick A is 1, we want AC. AC is 35. It's not one of the answers. And then our factors that we pick M and N are not integers, right? And AC is not integer either. C is not integer. So what we're going to do, we're going to change A, make C also an integer so that when they multiply together, they get AC. And the numbers you're looking for, 288 and then 144. So these are the things you want to do, right? So I'm going to change A first. I'm going to move it slowly. Let's see if we get integer. I put 2, it gave me C 35, right? AC is 70. It's not one of them. C is not an integer. I can put 3 and I get 104. C is not integer. So, right, I get 4. 34 is not. Let me go to 4. Still, C is not integer, like 5. So you keep on doing it. You use the slider as much as you can, and you can see the numbers changes, right? The best way is to guide yourself to what answer choice they've given you. So I'm going to put this probably like 50, and then pick a slider, and then try to get 144 and see what happened to the numbers. I'm coming down to 144. Can I get 144? I get to 146 and it still doesn't allow me. Even if I put, this is 4, it's 138. If I put 1, so there's no 144, I get 146. And C is not even an integer. That means it's not the right answer. So let's make this 10. So now I got to get to 288. You keep on doing that. Let's make this 6. I get 200. So it's close to that area. I keep on moving it and I get 288. 288, what is C? C is an integer, 32. And A is an integer, 9. Even M and N are all integers. This is what tell you that this is your first number. Now let's get to 504. 18, I get 504. All the numbers are integers. And what? But is it the smallest? AC is bigger. So let's get to 648. Change it to like 28. No, 7. And we get 648. But what is the problem? It's still bigger than our numbers. That tells you the least possible number has to be 288. This is the way you use Desmos, and this is how you can apply it. There's another formula that you can apply with Desmos, and let me show you how to use it if you like that one. The next one, you got to start with algebra. We pick 3x plus 2 and what? mx plus n. You know, when you factorize, you're going to get what? 3m squared. You're going to get 3n plus 2mx. Then you're going to get 2n. This is your factors. Based on that, A is equal to what? 3m, right? C is equal to 2n. The middle number is key. 3n plus 2m should be equal to 54. This is what is going to control everything. This is going to control everything. It's the main idea. There's 2 equations you need to set up to know what is going to happen to the function. Here, from here, what is your m? M is 54, 3n over 2. And n is almost the same. N is just the opposite, 54, 2m over 3. Based on that, m has to be divisible by 2. So when you're picking numbers for m, make sure you're picking n that will divide by 2. If you use n as a function, therefore m has to be divisible by 3. So pick m numbers that are 3 so that this will give you integer. And we'll see, I will demonstrate it. And that's all. And then you put this in Desmos, right? You just basically expressing yourself in the way you think it should be. And then let's go to Desmos and see what it will be. So what are we going to do? We're going to tell Desmos that our m is 54, 3n, right, over 2. But what is the problem? If you multiply them together, remember, A is 3m and C is 2n based on our factorization. And therefore, Y, which is your final answer, is 6nm. This is what you're going to get. You see, plotting things for me, right? It's plotting things for me. It's thinking that, oh, we have something good happening. Because you need A is 3m and C is 2n. So when you multiply, that's your Y, that's your function, that's your root. Then ask yourself, what are you going to do? We already told you, I told you I need n to be divisible by 2. So I'm picking two numbers that are like even numbers. If you're using n, you got to pick m numbers, right? Which are divisible by 3. I'm taking my time to explaining it because you have to understand the algebra when you're doing the Desmos. Otherwise, it becomes a problem. So I need m. I'm going to pick slider for n. So I would say n is equal to 1, right? What is our y? Our y is 6nm. What is 6nm? It's the same thing as our AC, right? So when n is 1, what is m? 25.5. It's not an integer. I told you n has to be what? Or even number. So I pick 2. I get 288 right away. You see how quick we get that answer quickly? Then Desmos. Yeah, this one we started with algebra and we got this. So we get 288. The first thing, m is an integer. I'm picking what? Even numbers, 4. I get 504. You see, I'm getting the answers that I'm supposed to get that they've given me because I've used what I know from algebra, not allowing Desmos to control this. Now I'm in charge. N is 4. I'm picking numbers that will give me the right answer. 6, right? I get 648. Those are the numbers they give you. You know, we're picking what? Even numbers, 144 never shows up. Therefore, the lowest number we can guess is 288. And because we set up m and n, and we use the 54, which is controlling everything, and we get our answer. This is why I like algebra. Whenever I see a Desmos question, I try to set it up with algebra, then put it in Desmos, and Desmos basically cook it for me in the nice way, and I eat it. Why? Because Desmos doesn't have to overthink, pick numbers. Try this way when you see questions. Make it easy for Desmos. Simplify it for Desmos, and you will see that it becomes so easy. Don't overthink it. All the questions I will show you, that's the way we're going to approach it. You see that the answers pop easily. And you can see this second portion, we use the 54, we find m, and then we know that we need to have odd numbers or even numbers. The odd numbers is when you use n. N become what? It's the same thing, 54 minus 2m over 3, right? Based on the setup. And since it's over 3, then we should have a divisible number. This is the way you should do all these kind of questions. Question 1, done. If you have another way of solving this question, let me know. But this is the question I'm solving for somebody who sent it to me. And you can see there's 2 ways of approaching. You can use this Desmos quickly. You can use algebra in Desmos, but you have to understand the question, what they're asking. 2 is the same thing. Let's unravel the question, figure out the algebra behind it, and then we put it in Desmos. It became easy. They've given you this. This is key. What do you see based on the first question we saw? You can see that A is fixed. C is fixed. The middle number B is not fixed. Therefore, that is everything you're going to use to answer this question. They said it can be factored in this form. A, P, B, A, P, Q are all integers. Which of the following must be true? This is key, right? The same thing. If you factorize this using your FOIL, you know that what A is going to be what A squared is going to line up with 4 squared. Therefore, A has to be absolutely 4. That's the first thing. The 96 will be depend on P and Q. They have to multiply. No matter what numbers you pick for P and Q, you're going to get 96. What is not fixed is your B. your B is not fixed. Where is it coming from? It's going to come from P and Q. And this is the key. So PQ, right, will determine what your value of that is. And this is why I want you to pay attention. So this is depend on P and Q. If P is actually what? P is equal to 4Q, right? Because 4 is A. When you factorize, you're going to get AQ, right? And then P, right? A is 4, and therefore P minus 4Q is equal to B. We'll use Desmos to find the actual numbers, and then we'll basically determine those situations. You basically know the answer based on what I told you with the algebra, but I wanted to show you Desmos since most people like to use this Desmos to see physical value. And therefore, what we're going to do, we're going to put the equation in the system as we learn it, but know that the underlying factor is all algebraic. And so this is the first thing. We're going to regress this to whatever factor they've given us. They say AX, right? I'll pick 1 here, and I'll put PQ, right? That's what they've given here. And then we say what? X minus Q is that. In order to regress it, you got to change all this to 1 and 1 and 1. And then, like I told you, Desmos is going to pick numbers. S is equal to 1. You always want to go with the simplest. B is equal to 92. A is equal to 1. But those are not the only factors. There's numbers that can multiply 96. You can have 96 and 1. You can have 48 and 2. Those are factors. You can have 32 and 3. So 96 has so many options. It picked 92. And therefore, this should tell you that, oh, P and Q can be anything, right? And now, based on what they've given us, if this is our number, let's make sure we are 100% sure. So we would just basically pick something and say, hey, let's see, random 10, right? This is the random 10 it pick. It still pick B to be 92, A is equal to 4, P is equal to 96, and Q is equal to 1. I told you it can be one, Q can be anything, and P can also be anything. So far as they multiply to what? 96. But let's use the Desmos information and go back to the algebra and combine. I'm teaching you everything so that you can match today. They say A is a factor of Q. The first question says A is a factor of Q. Therefore, Q divided by A, we get what? 0.25. It's not true, right? P is a factor of B. Okay, B divided by P, we get 0.999. It's not the factor. This is why most people like Desmos, because they can see the numbers instead of algebraically. A is a factor of B. Okay, B over A, you get 23. Is it true? We'll come back, we'll talk about it. And then A is a factor of what? 96. 96 and A, you get 24. Then the last one is a what? B is a factor of AP. AP over B. That one is clean. Now what you left with is B is a factor of A, right? And 96 is a factor of A. No, A is a 96 is a factor of, A is a factor of 96. But you know from your algebra that B is not fixed. There's no number for B. And B depends on what? P and Q. So the number of B changes depending on what? P and Q. And therefore, B cannot be a factor of A. A is fixed. B is not fixed. And since B is not fixed and B depends on P and Q, that one cannot be true. The only one that can be true is A, which is 4, and 96, which is what? Fixed. And we know it's 24. And therefore, that's the only right answer. This is the way you use Desmos to help you. This is video teaching you how to use Desmos effectively. I want you to think about this way. Don't just rush to Desmos. You see how I apply it from the algebra? I know in the back of my mind that B is a trap. Anything related to B, I'm not picking it. And therefore, you can see which one is your right answer. E is what? It's based on P and Q. And since we have those numbers which are not fixed, they can be 96 can come from what? 48 times 2. You can have 32, 3, 96, 1. So many numbers. And they can determine what B is. B is not fixed. Therefore, we cannot pick everything. The only answer that was true is D. Learning this way, and Desmos will become a friend that you would love for your SAT. Question 3 has the same connotation and tune for the whole thing we've been talking about. You have this expression. It's a very hard expression. If you don't take care, you mix it, where n is a positive integer. This is actually exponential question. They want to test what is your exponent knowledge. They want you to find this expression. Before you put this in Desmos, just think about it. You know that when you have square root of a certain number, it's the same thing as the 1/n, 1 over n, right? If you want to clear the n, multiply both sides by n, you'll be left with x. Therefore, don't put this in Desmos. This is my advice. Try to clear out the radicals because Desmos hates radicals. Nth root, which is the 4n, by multiply both sides by that. You have 2, 4n is equal to x. This will be 4n plus what? 20. And therefore, this is what? 8 to the nth. And then x, 8x, 4n, 20. Put this in Desmos, and it will give you the right answer. Now that we have the expression, let's put it in Desmos. We have x to the 8 to n. We're going to regress right away. 8n, 4n plus 20. And I'm going to put s1 here, s1 here. And it picked numbers for me. Let's use this as integer. N is equal to 1. You pick x1. You don't need to get random numbers. It will make it so complicated because all the numbers will be satisfied. This is a restricted equation and therefore remain in that frame because the answer choice will not change so far as it's satisfied. And let me show you. We're going to put our answer choice. They want 4n, right? He's not going to give you answer. He's going to plot this function for you. You think you're trying to plot the function, but we try actually finding a solution. And we get x1 is equal to 10. Let me change n. They say n has to be integer 2. X changes. What is our answer choice? Remain the same. 3. X changes, but our answer choice remain the same. 4. X changes. 5, 6, 7. This is the reason why you don't have to, because this question is specifically designed, restricted, not for that kind of random numbers. But if you begin a number, x changes, the x and n are in line with each other because of the roots. And therefore, if I change 8, you see what is happening to the x. Therefore, our answer, x raised to the 4n is 10. 10 over 10 is 1. When you use the algebra, you can just basically make x raised to the 4n as maybe y. And this become what? Y squared 8y plus 20. And you have y squared minus 8y plus minus 20. And you can factorize it. You know that your y, you're going to square, you're going to have 10y plus 2 and then 20. In effect, you're most likely going to get 10 and then minus 2. But because we're going to have a positive numbers, our answer is 10. And then you equate it to that, and you get the same right answer based on what they've given us. Equal to 10, all this is equal to 10. So 10 over 10 is 1. And that's how you solve that question if you want to use algebra. Another question where you got to apply some little bit of algebra, right? They've given you this function. They said it can be factored in this, right? And they said A, B, C, D are all positive integers. What is the least possible numbers of A and D? I want you to do something first before you go to Desmos. Look at 15. 15 is a factor. It's restricted. There can be two numbers, 3 and 5. It doesn't matter. A, and that is coming from, that can multiply to C, can be any of this, right? A can be 3 or 5. C can be 5 or 3. They can change the equation, but it will still come back to the same. Same thing. Look at the 154. 154 will be coming from what? B and D, right? What does that mean? We can have 77 to 2, right? Those are the numbers. B can be 77 or D can be 77. And so you have so many factors to work with. You can use that to answer questions when you're doing the Desmos. I will show you how effective, just by spending a few seconds doing this, will make Desmos equation easy. Now that we know, we just input this equation and you regress it right away. We have s raised to 6, 391, s to the third, and then 154. I'm going to regress this to the equation they've given us. It's a as to the power 3 plus b c s to the power 3 plus d. So we're going to regress this. We put x1 here, x1, x1, x1. As I've told you already, Desmos is going to pick numbers for you. He has picked those numbers, x1, c1, d1. They are not the true numbers, so don't pick it. If you want, just to be safe, we just say, okay, random, right? Random numbers, and we said 10. And he gives us this bunch of numbers, right? All that satisfied. But that's not what we want. We already know, established the fact that A and C can be anything. It can be mostly 3 and 5. So he gives us those numbers. But we know that those are not right. A can be 3 or 5, and D can be 3 or 5. So is D and B. They have different numbers. But this is what we're going to do. We say, okay, A, let me pick A, and let me pick D, right? And then see what is going to happen. And I need to find AD. Now, if I pick A to be 3, right? What happened? He picked what? D for me, 2. I already know D can be 2, but he already picked D for me. And he picked B to 77, which we already established right here, 77 and D2. This is why I said algebra make Desmos the most powerful tool. It just gives you the answer. You don't have to grab this slider moving back and forth. I'm just telling Desmos, do this for me. So I get AD to be 6. Well, if I make A can be 5 too, I change it to 5. I still get 6, but what? D is 1.2. Therefore, it's not one of the options, right? So the first one, D, is when the D is the, when A is what, 2 and D is 3, that's the right answer. You can say, okay, well, I can change. Let me make D to be 2. It gives me A to be 3. We get 6, right? The largest number D can be is 77. You get 385. That's too high. A also assume the largest number, which is 5. That's 385. That tells you A and D, the least possible number, is going to be what? 6. You see how we can apply this common knowledge to help us. We know what A and D should be. We know A can be 3 and 5, and D can be 5 and 2. And so we keep on comparing. And as we compare, we're still looking at our answers. All our answers become integers instead of Desmos picking numbers for you. That tells you you're on the right path. This is the beast mode Desmos strategy to help you pass your SAT. Take your time, learn it, apply algebra, and you'll be golden. Question 5 is a word problem. We start algebra and then we end with Desmos. You got to analyze it so that you know what is going on. They say a house is valued at 100 and what? House A is valued 125% more than house B. So house A is value 125. So 1 plus 125 over 100. This is what we're going to put it in Desmos. They said if house C is also what value is house A value after 80% depreciation. That means when you subtract 80% from A, you're going to get C. That means C is 20% of A. Our C is how many times? So C, how many times the value of B? I don't know. So I say R of B. And I put in Desmos. And Desmos said, thank you very much. You make my life easier. And so this is what we're going to do. So we create our box 6. And you say, I'm going to regress to another box. And you say what? A is 1.125% of what? B. That's the first situation. You say A is also, no, C is 20% of A because of depreciation of 80%. So 20%. 20% of A. But C is what? How many times the value of B? I don't know. I'll say R value B. And this is how I do this kind of, sometimes you got to type for Desmos to read it. And this is how it calculates for you. And it said B is 0.44. So 0.44 of the value of B. We don't know B. We don't care. If they tell you what the B price is, you multiply it by 0.44, which is basically your right answer. Some people will say, okay, I don't know about R value B. So you can just say RB and you still get the same answer, right? That's also very acceptable. But in order to teach you, I'll tell you that. But you don't need to put the value there. You can say RB, and then that means R times B, will give you 0.44%. So that's that particular question. Question 72 is another interesting Desmos question. To make it easy for Desmos, this is the trick. In the given equation, C is a constant. Y is greater than C. Otherwise, this will be negative, and then the function does not exist. The solution to the equation is that. This is the key. What is the value of C? This is why I said don't just jump into Desmos whenever they give you a question. Let me show you the key things they've given you. They're giving you a solution. It says 30. They say Y is greater than C. What they've done to you is they make Y to confuse you. Y can be X. It can be any variable. But you know Y and X, most of the time when they give you, they are the solutions. Therefore, you can just replace by 30. The answer choice they've given you, they say Y or X, this can be X, is 30, right? After that, C, you just solve for C. That's all. So we put this in Desmos. We're going to make Y to be 30. And when you say solve C for me, it's going to solve C so quickly, it doesn't even have to pick numbers to worry that, oh, what can this be, right? You don't even have to pick in any X1, X2, all those things. This is the beauty of how to use Desmos. Therefore, I know 10 divided by what, 6 root. You got to go all the way here. This is the 6th root. But I know my Y is 30, so I'm not going to put it in to find Y1. This is the knowledge that I wanted to develop from this video. You don't waste that kind of time trying to let Desmos dictate things for you. I know Y is 30, put it there and say C. Then I say minus what? 2. Then the 3rd root, okay, Y is 30 minus C. But what is the key? This is equal to 0. So regress it to 0 is 5. And this right staring at you. One down. Excellent. This is one of my favorite algebra questions. Since we're doing Desmos, I will show you both. I think algebra make it so fun. You can see what is going on. When they give you this kind of function, I want you to learn it. It will look complicated. It can change it. It can use absolute value, whatever, fraction. The things in the bracket, these two, they are the ones that control the function. A, B, C, D, they're just constant. You can pick thousands of constant. It never change. The graph is controlling the whole thing is x minus 5. That's all. So what does that mean? Let me show you the algebra, then we go to Desmos. It means they say what? These are constant. In the xy plane, y f of s passes through this point, these 2 points. They want you to find this. This is the picture. Look at it. X minus 5 squared control everything. Put the x value here. So 12 minus 5 squared. This is will give you what? 7 squared. Anything that give you 7 squared should give you 225. It does not matter. Same thing. I have 9 minus 5, which is x squared. So 4 squared should give me 35. Look at 1. 1 minus 5 is equal to what? Minus 4 squared, 35. That means 1 should give you 35. Same thing. 9. If you have 2, minus 2, minus 5, it gives you what? 7 squared. Right? That means 25. So this will give you 25. That means 2 is 25, 1 is 35. And then you solve the equation. It's done. See what the Desmos, how it look in Desmos. You need to put the whole function. You got to be careful that you put the right function in it. And so we have x, a, x minus 5 square plus b x minus 5 square plus c that. So that's the function A has plot for us. Now, you need to use the points they've given you. This is full Desmos, right? We say f of what? 12, then f of 9. If you regress it, the answers to give you 12 give us 25, and 9 give us 35. And those are your right answer. You plot the graph for you right here. In order to be safe, you say, okay, fine, let's do some randomness. As people say, oh, where is your randomness? Now, put your function in. 3 f of 1 minus f of 10 minus 2. And it should give you 80. We already know our function already. We said based on our algebra that we calculated, we said what? And let's do the same calculation that we already had. We said what? F of 1 is 35. So 3 times 35. Minus f of minus 2 is 25. And f of 2 minus 2 is 25. And you get the same answer. So this is how you can do it. Desmos in this short form, or the algebra, also short form, to understand the concept being tested. Another question, Desmos can help you, but you need to use the algebra to start with. So you have what? A cleaning crew that have what? 23 gallons of water per minute to power wash a house A. So house A, we take them 23 gallons per minute. That's their velocity, right? VA. They said for house B, they use 16. So B, 16 gallons of water per minute. That's VB. They said during 1 week, so 1 week, what did they do? The crew spent 10 hours power washing the house. So total time they spent is 10 hours. This is equal to 10 times 60. Therefore, this is 600 minutes. And it said to wash house A and B and uses a total. So total distance or gallon they use is 11,280 gallons. How does the amount of time spent power washing A compared to B? You have to know this is a distance velocity question, right? So you need the distance, which is the gallon amount, right? So velocity is distance over time. So distance is velocity over times time, right? Based on that, we know that the total time, if time for the total is 10, therefore we can say that for TA, the time for washing A plus washing B should take 600 minutes. And then how much they're going to use is based on their time times the velocity over here. Therefore, the velocity for A is 23. So 23 times TA plus 16 times TB should give you the total gallon, 11,280 that. What you need to do is TA make it X and TB make it what? Y. So you have a new equation where you have what? X plus Y is equal to 600 and then 23X plus Y, 16Y is equal to 11,280. And then you put this in Desmos. That's all. That's the easy way to solve this question. If you have another way to, you can let me know. But this is the way I can teach you. But remember, the velocity is very key in answering this kind of question because they're using speed. So I would say X plus Y should give me what, 600. And then 23X plus 16Y should give me 11,280. Desmos will give you this. So our right answer, as you can see, is 240 and 360, which is in the ratio of 2/3, right? This is 2/3. Therefore, the answer choice is 2/3. That means 0.66% or 0.66 of B is what the A is taking. Last question is a system of equation. When you see this, they say find the value of K if what the system has no solution. You have to understand if the system has no solution, this is a line. This is another line. If they have no solution, they parallel to each other. Just put it in Desmos. Don't overthink it. I'll encourage you, don't even simplify it unless you want to bring the Y on the other side. But sometimes just put it in. If it look complicated, you can try to change it a little bit. But most of the time, I think it will work no matter what you do. You can just put the equation in the system. So I'm going to put it the same way it's written for Y minus 1120. You just have to be careful. 2/3, 3/4 Y. And the next one, 1110 X plus 3/2 is equal to K Y plus 3310. Right? And we need to get a slider for K. And they say what? The system has no solution. So you can see we have a solution here. So I just have to keep on moving the slider so that I have no solution at all. And I have to be it look like I have solution, but if I expand, you can see. So sometimes you got to pan in. So there's no solution. If you drag here all the way, you can see we don't have any solution. Keep on dragging it, or you can make it smaller and smaller as man it can go. But the more you get closer, you can think a solution, but no solution, no solution. So this is your right answer. K has to be 3. And you can solve it algebraically and see if you're right. This is the end of it. 9 questions to test you, to help you master this most effective way to use it. It's not a rush. It's to understand the concept, apply it, and use the tool they've given you. Don't just let it be and just put numbers in. Don't let Desmos control your answers. Control it and tell Desmos, I want this answer. It will give it to you. Remember, when Desmos give you the answer choice, does not mean that's the only option. There's always multiple. It pick the best, should satisfy the equation. Thank you for watching. This video helped you. Subscribe for more content. And the next one is videos that will help you with your next coming SAT. Take care of yourself and good luck.